Good day. Today we will look at a substance that can be found all over Facility 3826 and is the cornerstone of atomic heart lore. Polymer, also called jelly, is a substance developed by Dmitry Sechenov in 1936 which managed to radically change the course of history. By 1955 it is used in practically every major industry from robotics to medicine. The only piece of information in the game that tells us what is used in the production process of this substance is in a conversation between the protagonist and Charles. Charles mentions that farm animals are used in the development process, and this is seen in-game when animals are slaughtered in the embryo workshop. The other chunk of information comes directly from the developer's website or from the official book titled Prehistory of Facility 3826. Although, it should be said that the book is non-canon and it has details that conflict with the history presented in-game, but for the video, as long as the information in the book does not conflict with what is said in the game, both sides will be accepted as valid, otherwise in-game lore takes priority. After Sechenov joined an institution in 1935, his research was fully focused around the creation of a single collective mind. 1 year later, in 1936, he would create a liquid information carrier that would later be known as Polymer. The polymer in the book is described as having a unique structure which is based on the properties of silicon, carbon, germanium, heavy water, and the wave theory. The wave theory was put forward by Sechenov's teacher Bekhterev. Polymer is also described as a literal wave substance. It is never clarified what this wave theory is, but in the book the scientists talk about the wave as being some kind of radiation that can be used to make polymer more aggressive, making it dissolve organic substances and absorb any information that organisms might possess, such as memories. The polymer is described as being neither liquid nor solid. It is neither alive nor dead. It is, however, flexible, amorphous, easily shaped and molded. It can take any form and store the information of that form in its own structure. Later, Sechenov and another scientist would use the electrochemical properties of polymer to create a compact cold fusion reactor, leading to the creation of an early robot prototype. Polymer would also replace the standard oil and lubricants needed in machinery, as in-game it is confirmed that the internal mechanisms of a robot are practically covered in polymer, keeping them lubricated. Other characteristics include that living organisms such as fish or even the player can swim through it for an indefinite amount of time without dying, and it is also said that when sharks swim together with smaller prey, they do not attack it. Dead bodies that get trapped in the liquid do not decompose, neither does the liquid have any effect on them, similar to formaldehyde used in preserving bodies. In the game there exists a project called Jelly where we can see that the organs of a whale were put into a special type of polymer and they continued to function, alluding to the idea that it's similar to formaldehyde. Furthermore, there is information relating to polymer that can be found on the Atomic Heart Wikipedia page, but no source is actually given, so it cannot be said for sure that this came from the developers. The information says that polymer has a metallic, sweet salty taste similar to blood. The latter can be explained by the use of animals in the process. Polymer can be processed further into other versions. Known ones found in the game include biopolymer, luminopolymer, heat-resistant polymer, cryopolymer, pesticide polymer, medical polymer, and neuropolymer. In the book, it is never mentioned that the substance can collect memories, but in-game every time the protagonist swims through it he hears voices, so at best it can be assumed that polymer slowly collects information or memories over a certain period of time. While neuropolymer, that Sechenov worked on in the late 1930s, is maybe a more refined version specifically designed to collect and store data quickly. Additional products as a result of polymer research, either directly stated or hinted at, include the brown plague, the vaccine for the brown plague called Breakthrough, a cosmetics line of products called Polymer, which includes shampoo, soap, and deodorant. 6 types of metals referred to only as polymer technology: alloy or PDA, silicone implants used in the ballerina robots, various medical implants, and overall, the universe of Atomic Heart presents polymer as a substance that, if refined in a specific way, it can be used for absolutely anything. Around Facility 3826, multiple yellow tank containers can be seen. Likely damaged during the robot attack, these containers are seen leaking large quantities of polymer. This substance is transparent and usually has plants growing in it, as well as objects such as chests or dead bodies trapped inside. It also tends to defy gravity and usually tries to float upwards into the sky or sideways without touching the ground, but this occurs at a snail's pace. We are never told why this substance can defy gravity, but the growth of plants in almost every case is interesting. It can be assumed that the pure variant is clean and does not have such growths. When the polymer leaked out into the forests, seeds from various plants were mixed in with it. The polymer would act as a super fertilizer, immensely speeding up the growth of these seeds. This would explain how in every case vines and plants engulf the polymer. Even though the robots attacked the facility exactly when the player arrived, the plants would not have grown to the levels seen in-game in just a few hours. Just from the name, we can guess that this substance is named after the term polymer. This describes a substance or material made out of very large molecules, and those are made up of repeating subunits linked together in long chains. It is not a name of one specific material, but rather an entire class of various materials that are made up of large molecules. Common examples would be proteins or polyethylene. The latter is more commonly known as plastic. This is if we directly examine the origin of the name. But it is a lot more difficult to explain how silicon, carbon, germanium, and heavy water can be combined to create a new material that could, as the game presents it, be converted into various other solids and liquids without being toxic to humans. If we purely look at the chemistry aspect and attempt to combine silicon, carbon, germanium, and heavy water to form a polymer, then we will not get any meaningful result. Silicon and carbon can combine to form compounds known as polysilanes or silicones, but these do not involve germanium. As for germanium, it behaves similarly to silicon, but does not easily form polymer structures with carbon or oxygen. Unlike silicon, however, germanium is commonly used in electronics, and it is a catalyst in the polymerization process. The chemical makeup of heavy water consists of deuterium and oxygen. Unlike the chemical makeup of water that we are used to, known as H2O, heavy water is known as D2O. This makes it have slightly higher viscosity than regular water, making it flow slightly slower, and it is toxic to living organisms in large doses. Heavy water would not contribute to a polymer chain directly. At best, it might be involved in chemical reactions that help in forming polymers, but it does not play the role of a polymer building material. Although theoretically one could combine silicon, carbon, and germanium to form some kind of hybrid polymer, at best this would be a highly specialized material for electronic applications, rather than a flexible, easily formed substance. We looked at combining the materials directly, but as mentioned in the book, it says, unique structure which is based on the properties of silicon, carbon, germanium, heavy water, and the wave theory. So, essentially, the fact that the word based is used, it might be saying that the substance is only based on the properties of silicon, carbon, germanium, and heavy water, and in no way does it incorporate them directly into the substance. Specifically, what properties are used is never mentioned. As for the wave theory, at best we can guess that it somehow relates to radiation, since in the book the scientists speak of wave radiation. In reality, there exists the wave theory of radiation, which says that radiation is a form of energy that travels through space as waves, specifically electromagnetic waves, such as light, radio waves, microwaves, and X-rays. But it is unknown what relation it has to the in-game jelly. Possibly the polymer substance itself is some form of radiation developed using various elements, and heavy water or polymer uses special radiation waves to send information similar to radio waves. Polymer in robots is said to work like standard wiring in any electronic device, as its job is to deliver electrical signals. But unlike basic wires in electronics, polymer is described as being a jelly or liquid, but it is never said how the electrical signals are sent through this substance and how they reach their intended input. At best, we can guess that polymer will not interact with any electrical device, unless that device or specific connection is marked, possibly by a special polymer that will only accept electrical current from one of its own. For example, if we imagine polymer as a very large bundle of wiring with each wire corresponding to its intended color, all we need to do is to find the ends of each of the wires and solder them in place. In this case, the solder on each end will only send the electrical signal to its corresponding solder on the other side. However, all of this is just a theory, as it is never revealed how this works, and, at best, we are told that it uses standard electricity and not some other form of energy. Based on this information, the in-game polymer is very interesting in the fact that it cannot be compared to any single substance or material. Rather, it combines the use cases of many materials, as it is used in the production of alloys, cosmetics, medicine, and other liquids that possess unique properties. Some aspects are never explained, such as how it can float or what exactly is the wave theory that in the book played a fundamental role in the creation of polymer. Nevertheless, this does leave the player to speculate what it is and how it is made. but we can clearly say that it was intended as an information carrier similar to a computer hard drive. As for real chemistry, all we can say is that if we combine silicon, carbon, germanium, and heavy water, we will definitely not get the substance that we see in-game. While the use of dead animals in the process is only seen and mentioned in-game, but it can be safely said that grinding farm animals into fine paste will not result in a transparent liquid. Possibly the liquid produced from farm animals is somehow further refined and mixed with the other elements. However, staying on the topic of computers, carbon, silicon, and germanium are used in electronics, be it in developing semiconductors or thermal paste, with the only odd one out being heavy water. The latter is known to be used in nuclear reactors. Overall, the in-game polymer is a very interesting substance that was created specifically for the world of atomic heart, which can be described as the in-universe material that, with enough research, can be converted into anything, leaving us wondering what other use cases are there for polymer.